So for this section, we're going to talk about safe basal and auto mode exits. So what is safe basal? Safe basal is a fixed amount of basal insulin determined by the pump. And this often happens because either the sensor data that it's receiving it deems as being inaccurate, or it's not receiving that data. When this happens, you do have a grey and white shield that will appear on the pump screen. Just follow any instructions that it's given. So sometimes it may ask you to link in a blood glucose reading. This can often take up to 90 minutes to resolve, and it will often resolve on its own. But rest assured, if the pump is unable to still receive that data and put you back into auto mode, you will go into the manual mode feature. So what are some of the common reasons for safe basal to occur? First of all, it could be that the data isn't being received by the pump, either because the transmitter is unable to give the pump the sensor glucose values data, or a calibration has not been received. Secondly, it could be that that blood glucose level that's been linked in is too far apart from the sensor glucose value that's been picked up. Or it could be that the basal has reached its maximum or minimum insulin delivery. So what do you need to do when you exit auto mode? Rest assured you will automatically go into manual mode. But as our aim is to keep you the maximum time in auto mode, we may need to take some action. And it's worth having a look at your auto mode readiness screen to see what action needs to be taken. So for example, on the screen you will see an example of this status screen. If there is a question mark in the shield next to blood glucose required, then you simply need to link in a blood glucose reading, and that will help auto mode get back into its position again. However, if you see the shield with the 3 dots against sensor not ready, you simply need to sit back and wait for the sensor to update and do what it needs to do. Did you know that when auto mode exits and you're in manual mode, you need to go back into the SmartGuard settings to switch on your suspend before low, or the features that you often used prior to going into auto mode. Here on the screen are the instructions of how to do that. If you're receiving too many auto mode exits, it may be because you've got your auto mode BG alert switched off. Occasionally in clinic we've found that these have been switched off accidentally. And where we want to maximise your time spent in auto mode, it's a good idea to have these switched on. Here again on the screens are the instructions of how to go back in and switch that on. You want to be alerted and notified if you're going to be exited at any point. So another commonly asked question is sensor updating, and what does it mean? Simply, sensor updating is the sensor's way of checking that the data it is transmitting to the pump is reliable and accurate. Just simply follow the on-screen instructions. However, if you find that this alert leads to a sensor change alert, here are some of the tips that we give out in clinic. First of all, think about your sites and the rotation of your sites. Also think about the taping of the sensor. Is it secure, and will it last for the full life of the sensor? And again, speak to your healthcare professionals and speak to the Medtronic 24-hour helpline. We're here to help. Often in clinic we discuss what to do when you go low in auto mode. Well, quite frankly, you follow the same treatment plan as you would do normally. So if your blood glucose levels are below 3.5, you need to have 15 to 20 grams of rapid acting carbohydrate and recheck your blood glucose levels again in 10 to 15 minutes, and keep repeating this all the time you're below 3.5. What some patients have found, however, is in auto mode, when they've had their usual hypotreatment, they found that their blood glucose levels can rise afterwards. This can happen because the pump is smart, and the pump starts to suspend the insulin when it detects that your blood glucose levels are dropping. Some patients have found that having only maybe half of their normal hypotreatment has resolved this issue. But for you, please discuss the right treatment plan with your healthcare professional. Another thing to remember is to switch on your low alert. You want to be alerted that you are receiving, or the sensor has picked up that your blood sugar levels are dropping, or that you have gone low. Another concern for some of my patients in clinic have been how to manage hyperglycemia in auto mode. So again, we need to follow your usual procedure. Link a blood glucose level into the pump and follow the correction as advised. Remember that sometimes the pump may not advise a correction because it's looking at all the other information that it has available to it, including your insulin on board. Again, remember to troubleshoot the reason for the high. Is there anything that could have caused that high blood glucose levels? Do you need to check for ketones? Do you need to give a manual injection? And do you need to think about changing your infusion site? Perhaps it isn't a site issue and it's a regular pattern that you're picking up. Well, in Automo, there are only 2 settings that we are able to change. That is your carbohydrate ratio and also your active insulin time. And again, you can contact your healthcare professional if you have any concerns yourself in adjusting these.